Hey folks, Carl Kishel here, and welcome to this edition of the Microsoft Cloud News Update, researching the cloud blog so you don't have to. This week we have a lot of great announcements, which include Azure Static Web Apps, lower pricing on some Azure disks, public preview of some new reports for OneDrive, and much more. So with that, let's jump right into it. All the updates that I'll be covering this week, the links to the specific pages can be found in the description of this video. So our first update is regarding Azure Static Web Apps. And Web Apps is a new feature that is currently in preview in Azure and allows you to create static web apps on this hosting service based on, of course, Azure. So this is a serverless way of creating web apps and a really neat way to get up and running with your application development. Azure Web Apps is integrated with both GitHub and Azure DevOps, so you have full integration to go from coding to site in no time. Some of the neat features here and included features are listed in the page, but I think some of the more important ones are the free SSL certificates, custom-based routing, role-based authorization, and so on. So you can get all the details by clicking in the link in the description below. There's some new pricing for Azure Ultra Disks. And if you're familiar with Azure Ultra Disks, these are attached disks typically found with Azure VMs for high IOPS and low latency disk storage. So right now, price has been reduced by 65%. This is effective May 1st. Nothing you need to do to enable this new pricing. It's all automatic, but definitely double check your Azure portal and billing to make sure your pricing is reflecting this current promotion and new discount. Enabling Azure Site Recovery for Azure Virtual Machines. So ASR is a facility that's available within the Azure platform. Allows you to create a site recovery system within Azure based off of a production environment or another cloud-based environment. Replication happens between your production environment and the site recovery environment in the Azure cloud. And then if there is a business disruption or some other event, you can trigger virtual machines, networking, etc., storage to be powered up within the Azure platform and redirect traffic accordingly. So with this new feature, if you are creating Azure Virtual Machines, through that creation process, there are now facilities to say, yes, this virtual machine is part of an ASR environment. So that whole configuration step is now integrated in the actual creation of the virtual machine. So this should save you some time if you're building a net new ASR environment. There's a public preview of some new admin reports for OneDrive focusing on synchronization. So again, currently in public preview, this has been a long time coming, and this is a great admin report that will provide you with some context and health and information regarding the sync status across your organization. So I'll give you an idea what end users are experiencing issues with syncing data and files from their OneDrive client to the OneDrive for Business service as part of Office 365, Microsoft 365. So definitely check out the link on how to access this new dashboard and these new reports. There are some new customizable settings for the Reply All storm protection. So this has been available for a while with Exchange Online as part of the Microsoft 365 environment. Reply All storms, I think a lot of us have been involved in these type of storms where folks keep replying all, saying don't reply all to this message, don't reply all to this message, or something similar. So with this facility, you can enable some context to disable these storms from happening. And previously there were a number of options that were preset, but now with this new feature, you do have some flexibility and customization available to you. For example, turning it on and off, which has been there for some time, but beyond that, setting the minimum number of recipients, So these are all thresholds, the minimum number of reply all, etc. So definitely check out the link for more info on how to use PowerShell and these new commandlets to enable this feature for your environment. We have a couple of roadmap updates for you. So the first one is regarding Microsoft Teams and chatting with external users. So this is currently in development. It's being released actually as we speak this month. So you should see this soon, if not already. But this allows you to create group chats that include people that are external to your organization. Keep in mind, it requires all users in the chat to have external access capabilities enabled. So that's very important. So keep a lookout for this new feature coming to your tenant. The other roadmap update that I thought was really interesting is regarding, again, Microsoft Teams and some together mode extensibility. So not a lot of details are published regarding this new feature, which should be rolling out sometime June of this year. So together mode, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great way to rearrange video, incoming video within a Microsoft Teams session. So it gives you an auditorium type of styling for the video presentation. So with the extensibility, one could guess there might be some options to maybe do assigned seating or do custom backgrounds beyond the auditorium setting that's currently provided with Together mode. So definitely keep your eyes open for this feature coming soon. Redirecting new folders to OneDrive using the Endpoint Manager, Configuration Manager, MEMCM. Lots of consonants there in a vowel. But so Configuration Manager for endpoint management will now have this facility to redirect known folders. So this has been available for a while if you're familiar with on-premises systems and using group policy objects and on-prem Active Directory. As you may know, group policy objects are not existent or non-existent, as the case may be, with Azure Active Directory. So this new configuration management facility will allow you to redirect known folders for those devices that are not domain joined to an on-prem system. So using Endpoint Configuration Manager, as part of Endpoint Manager, you can now configure those known folders. So known folders are like documents, pictures, videos, contacts, etc. So now you can do all the redirection for a multiple number of clients and servers for that matter with Endpoint Manager. Check out the link for more info on how to do this. Setting up your own end-to-end package delivery monitoring system with Azure Percept. So I thought this was a pretty interesting blog post by one of our product managers in using Azure Percept to do some kind of monitoring for packages that might be left at your front door and using the Azure AI platform for this. If you're not familiar with Azure Percept, this is a facility that includes Azure AI services, cognitive services, and also some hardware, some IoT and endpoint hardware to do a project such as this. So if you want to get a little bit deeper into Azure IoT Edge, live video analytics, IoT Hub, Azure Media Services, etc., this is a pretty cool project. There is some expense involved, so there's hardware here. So the hardware, I believe, is included in the kit. It's roughly $300 to $400 United States, US dollars. But if this is something you wanted to invest in to get ramped up and up to speed on what Azure AI services can do and Azure IoT Hub, this is a really, really great introduction. Straightforward to see all the different codes and applications. Coding setup is all spelled out here on the blog post. So definitely check out the link for more info on Azure Percept. And last but not least, a quick plug here for Microsoft Build. That will be later this month, 3-day event starting May 25th. So if you're not familiar with Microsoft Build, it's a great way to interact with developers. It's really a developer-focused conference. Virtual conference, of course, this year, just like last year. And it's the ability to really interact with other developers, with the product group, ask questions, and participate in a lot of deep dive sessions on different development technologies and facilities regarding Build and the Microsoft platform. So this particular blog post gets into these 5 different sessions that are somewhat technology related, but also provides some human elements on how can technology be best used to increase the human experience. So I thought this was really interesting. These particular sessions may be something to check out. Nevertheless, please check out and register for Microsoft Build, coming soon this month. And that concludes this edition of the Microsoft Cloud News Update. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, give us a thumbs up. If you want to keep abreast on all of our weekly updates, definitely click on subscribe. Click the notification bell so you are properly made aware of when I release these, usually once a week and towards the latter part of the week. And sometimes I go over the weekend as well. If you have any comments or feedback, I read all the comments, so you can drop them into the comment section here on YouTube. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. So I read all the feedback. With that, I wish you well. Have a great week and weekend, and we will catch you next time. Take care.